Perfect games don't come around often, but when they do, you feel it right away. Gameplay feels great, and it's easy to lose hours without even noticing. Here are the top 20 perfect games you simply must play. Silent Hill 2 Remake is one of those games that absolutely deserves to be played, even if you already know the original. The story follows James Sunderland, returning to the fog-covered town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife, who's been dead for years. One of the biggest updates is how the game plays. Instead of the fixed camera angles from the old version, you now move through the world with an over-the-shoulder perspective that makes exploration and combat feel way more immersive. Combat itself has been reworked too. James can dodge, aim down sights, and switch between melee weapons and firearms on the fly, with timing and positioning actually mattering in enemy encounters. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the series, Silent Hill 2 Remake is a must-play that shows how classic horror can be updated without losing what made it great.
I know what you are. I know why I needed you. But it's all over now. I don't need you anymore. I'm ready.
My lord, I have come for you. So the noble shinobi stands in our way.
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice is one of those games that a lot of people talk about for a reason. It takes place in Sengoku-era Japan and follows a shinobi known as Wolf, who's trying to protect a young lord at all costs. Where Sekiro really stands out is the gameplay. Combat isn't about grinding levels or tanking hits. It's all about timing. You're blocking, deflecting, and breaking enemy posture instead of just draining health bars. Once it clicks, fights start to feel more like a duel than a typical action game. Movement is another big part of it. You're grappling across rooftops, sneaking around enemies, and choosing when to fight or avoid trouble. Sekiro is tough, but it's fair. Every loss teaches you something, and every win feels earned. If you're looking for a game that challenges you and sticks with you long after you finish it, this is absolutely one you need to play. Like a Dragon Ishin is one of those games you genuinely need to try, especially if you like action with a lot of variety. It's a remake of a game that was originally Japan only, now fully localized and expanded for modern platforms, and it takes the Like a Dragon series into a whole new historical setting. You've got 4 distinct combat styles: Swordsman, Gunman, Brawler, and Wild Dancer, each with unique moves and combos you'll want to master. Add in the Trooper card system, where special cards give temporary buffs or crazy abilities. The game is packed with side content and mini-games, everything from helping townsfolk to classic series staples like karaoke. So it always feels like there's something fun to jump into between main missions. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the series, this is a game that belongs on your must-play list. Days Gone earns a spot on your list if you're into open-world games with a strong sense of atmosphere. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic version of Oregon, years after a pandemic turned most of the population into dangerous creatures known as freakers. Gameplay mixes exploration, combat, and survival in a way that keeps you busy. You're constantly scavenging for supplies, crafting weapons, and maintaining your motorcycle, which plays a huge role in how you move around the world. Running out of fuel or getting caught at night can turn a simple trip into a tense situation fast. As the world opens up and the systems start clicking, it becomes hard to put down. If you like large worlds, survival pressure, and moments that genuinely raise your heart rate, this game absolutely deserves a spot on your list.
Making for some deadly rides and intense horde fights. Windy trails, snow in the mountains and foothills will make the freakers even stronger and more dangerous. Survivor camps, choked off tunnels, explore the world of Days Gone at your peril.
You're next! I'll rip your head off!
There are consequences to killing a god!
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Power. This weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By the discipline, the self-control of the one who wields it.
Can you kill something that big?
God of War feels like a fresh start for the series, even if you've never touched the older games. This time, the focus isn't just on gods and monsters, but on a father trying to guide his son through a dangerous world. That shift alone makes the story easier to connect with right from the beginning. The gameplay is where it really pulls you in. Combat feels weighty and controlled, especially with the Leviathan axe. Every hit matters, and fights reward good timing and smart positioning instead of button mashing. As you unlock new abilities and gear, combat keeps evolving without getting overwhelming. Exploration adds another layer to the experience. The world opens up gradually, with side quests and hidden areas. God of War earns its place because it gets so many things right at once. Strong combat and a world that's fun to explore all come together into an experience that's hard to forget. Stalker 2 is the kind of game that pulls you in by making the world feel genuinely dangerous. You're exploring the Chernobyl exclusion zone, and nothing here feels safe. The game drops you into a huge open world where every step feels risky, and you're constantly paying attention to your surroundings. Gameplay is all about survival and choice. You're scavenging for supplies, managing radiation, watching your stamina, and deciding when a fight is actually worth it. Gunfights are tense and grounded. What really sets it apart is how the world reacts to you. Your decisions affect the story, the factions you deal with, and how events play out later. You're not just following a straight path, you're shaping your own experience through exploration, choices, and sometimes mistakes. Stalker 2 is absolutely a game you need to experience.
And who the fuck are you?
And what do we have a decade later? The Zone, in our image, after our lifetime.
Nay, I'm not looking to make friends.
Skiff.
And if we do nothing, houses on the mainland will continue to burn and collapse.
Kingdom Hearts 3 feels like a big payoff if you followed the series, but it's also just a really fun game on its own. The story brings Sora, Donald, and Goofy back together as they travel through a bunch of Disney and Pixar worlds, trying to stop things from falling apart. It's colorful and very much Kingdom Hearts. Gameplay is fast and flashy without being complicated. Combat is all about combos and switching keyblades on the fly. Each keyblade feels different, and unlocking new forms keeps fights from getting repetitive. On top of that, every world has its own gameplay twists, so you're not doing the same thing over and over. Exploring the worlds is a big part of the fun. Whether you're running around as a toy or just messing around with side activities, there's always something happening. It's easy to get distracted and spend way more time in each world than you planned. Resident Evil Village feels like a game you can't really skip if you're into modern action horror. It picks up after Resident Evil 7 and follows Ethan Winters as he ends up in a strange European village where absolutely nothing feels normal. Gameplay is a strong mix of horror and action. You're exploring open areas, looting houses, solving puzzles, and getting into tense fights where ammo and resources still matter. Combat feels smoother than RE7, with more enemy variety and better pacing, but it never turns into a full shooter. You still have to think before pulling the trigger. Resident Evil Village works because it balances story, atmosphere, and gameplay really well. It's tense without being exhausting, fun without losing its horror edge, and easily earns its place as a game you simply have to play.
Oh no, they're coming. Who is? What the hell was that?
Stop shouting. You'll draw the monsters.
Tell me, what is going on around here?
It doesn't make any sense. Mother Miranda has always protected us.
You escaped my little brother's idiot games, did you? Let's see how special you are.
Is this all that's left? From your entire village? All that's left? There is no one left! We can bust out with this.
Lycans and gentlemen, we thank you for waiting. And now let the games begin!
There is no safe! Every sorry bastard out there has been ripped in half. Tomorrow we'll all be dead.
No, let me go!
Chris? What the hell? Why?
Ethan Winters.
Ethan Winters.
Mr. Winters.
Ethan Winters.
Poor Ethan.
Ethan Winters. Welcome.
Is my kind destined for extermination?
You're driven by glory, not destiny.
So this is the face of the destined one. It will fit me just as well.
Bathed in blood, yet preaching peace. Oh, you immortals, pray enlighten me. What justifies your superiority? Sweet destiny.
Black Myth Wukong is one of those games that immediately grabs attention once you start playing. It's inspired by Journey to the West, but it doesn't feel like a history lesson or a fairy tale. You play as the Destined One, moving through a dark, myth-filled world where gods, monsters, and legends are very real and very dangerous. Combat is fast, responsive, and heavily skill-based. You're dodging, countering, transforming, and using different abilities that keep fights feeling fresh instead of repetitive. Boss battles are a huge highlight, and they're tough in a way that pushes you to learn patterns rather than just spam attacks. Exploration also plays a big role. Levels are detailed and full of secrets, side paths, and surprises that reward curiosity. As you unlock new powers and upgrades, your playstyle starts to open up, making progression feel earned. Ghost Runner 2 is the kind of game that feels made for players who love speed and challenge. It takes everything from the first Ghost Runner and pushes it further, with a bigger world, more freedom, and way more ways to mess up if you lose focus. You're back as a cyber ninja in a brutal sci-fi world, trying to survive in a place that doesn't slow down for anyone. Ghost Runner 2 also adds more variety. There are new abilities, skill upgrades, and even motorcycle sections that change up the pace without breaking the core gameplay. Levels are designed to push you to play aggressively and keep moving, not hide or wait around. Ghost Runner 2 earns its place because it's pure adrenaline. It's challenging, stylish, and hard to put down once you get into the rhythm. If you like games that test your reflexes and reward precision, this is absolutely one you need to play. Remnant 2 is the kind of game that slowly hooks you without you even realizing it. At first, it just feels like a tough third-person shooter set in some weird worlds, but the more you play, the more it pulls you in with its mix of combat, exploration, and mystery. Gameplay hits a really good balance. Shooting feels solid, dodging matters a lot, and enemies can punish you fast if you're not paying attention. You're constantly tweaking your loadout, trying different weapons, mods, and abilities to see what works best. Small changes can make a big difference, and that experimentation keeps things interesting. Remnant 2 doesn't rush you, but it keeps giving you reasons to stay. One more boss, one more upgrade, one more run. Before you know it, you've been playing way longer than you planned, and that's exactly why it earns a spot on a must-play list.
Fight it. Accept your true fate, traveler.
Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 feels like a game made for players who want something slower, deeper, and more grounded. It continues Henry's story in medieval Bohemia, picking up after the chaos of the first game. There's no fantasy magic here, just politics, war, and people trying to survive in a rough time. Gameplay leans hard into realism. Combat isn't about button mashing at all. Sword fights are clunky at first on purpose, and you actually have to learn timing, positioning, and stamina management. At the beginning, you'll probably lose a lot of fights, but as Henry improves, you feel that progress in a very real way. Outside of combat, there's a lot to get pulled into. Quests can be handled in different ways, conversations matter, and your choices affect how people treat you. If you're into immersive RPGs that reward patience and attention, this is absolutely a game you should play.
The ones I lost.
No doubt you've got a cunning plan for us to get out of here, right?
You chose a different path than I wanted for you. And maybe that's how it was meant to be. But once you've chosen the path of adventure, you have to fight.
Vampire is a game that sticks with you because of the choices it keeps putting in front of you. It's set in London during the 1918 flu pandemic, and you play as a doctor who suddenly becomes a vampire. Gameplay mixes combat, exploration, and dialogue in a way that feels pretty unique. Fighting isn't super fast or flashy, but it's tense. You're managing stamina, abilities, and positioning, and encounters can go bad quickly if you're careless. The real hook, though, is how progression works. The strongest upgrades come from feeding on NPCs, but doing that can permanently change the world and the story. Vampire earns its place because it doesn't just test your combat skills, it tests your morals. If you like story-driven games where your choices actually matter and the atmosphere does a lot of the work, this is definitely one you shouldn't skip.
Very streets of London become a mausoleum.
The previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No, there was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
Are you all right, Doctor?
I can't see.
Over there! It ain't human! Kill it! Where is the monster hiding? It's still in England, isn't it?
Take your place among the bearers of the lamps.
One of us! One of us! I shall return as your judge and jury.
The Guard of Priwen has called for a second great hunt of our kind, and they will stop at nothing to eliminate us.
You believe you're just fighting a disease, but it's you, the disease, Jonathan, you!
We stand upon the precipice. What prevails in the end, I wonder? The desire for blood, or to be of service to man?
Kena Bridge of Spirits is the kind of game that looks cute at first, then surprises you with how deep it actually is. The world is full of color and calm moments, yet the story underneath deals with loss, grief, and helping spirits move on, which gives the game more emotional weight than you might expect. Gameplay feels smooth and approachable, but it still has some bite. Combat blends staff attacks, bow shots, and abilities you unlock over time. The little rot companions aren't just there to be adorable either. They help in combat, puzzles, and exploration, which makes progression feel rewarding. Exploration is a big part of the experience. You're solving light puzzles, finding collectibles, and slowly restoring corrupted areas back to life. It's relaxing at times, but there's always a sense that something sad or unresolved is hiding underneath the beauty.
Move on.
Elden Ring is the kind of game that completely takes over your time once it clicks. From the moment you step into the lands between, it's clear this isn't about following a straight path. It's about getting lost, experimenting, and figuring things out on your own. Gameplay builds on the Souls formula, but opens it up in a big way. Combat is still challenging and punishing, but now you have more freedom. You can explore somewhere else if a boss feels impossible, level up in different ways, or change your build to suit your playstyle. Fighting, dodging, magic, and timing all matter, but how you approach problems is totally up to you. Elden Ring earns its place because it respects the player. It's tough, and incredibly rewarding once things start to make sense. If you enjoy games that challenge you while giving you total freedom, this is one experience you really shouldn't miss.
I pray that the guidance of grace abandons you.
Why accept the burden of their grace, or be fooled by the dogmatic ramblings of the fingers? Rise with us, against the Erd Tree.
Never met someone with a taste for barnacle and trust. We'd make good mates, I reckon.
I bid thee, travel the path of the Lord. And once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
You're not the puppet I was expecting.
Who are you?
She was looking for someone.
Legendary. She stepped up only because no one else could. Too many stalkers were lost to that evil.
I'll do whatever it takes. Your survival is all that matters. Nothing else comes close, not even my life. I swear I won't be late.
Lies of P takes a familiar Souls-like formula and gives it a really interesting twist. It's set in a dark, twisted version of a Pinocchio-inspired world, where a once beautiful city has completely fallen apart. Everything feels off in a good way. Exploration feels focused rather than overwhelming. Areas are carefully designed, full of shortcuts, secrets, and tough enemies that make progress feel earned. Boss fights are a big highlight, pushing you to really understand the mechanics instead of brute forcing your way through. Combat is tight and demanding. Timing matters a lot, especially with perfect guards and parries. Fights reward patience and learning enemy patterns instead of rushing in. The weapon system adds depth too, letting you mix blades and handles to create different playstyles, which keeps experimentation fun. It Takes Two is one of those games that reminds you why playing games together can be special. It starts with a couple on the brink of divorce who suddenly get turned into tiny dolls. And from there, things get weird fast. The setup is simple, but it gives the game a strong emotional hook without getting too heavy. Gameplay is built entirely around co-op, and that's what makes it shine. Every level gives each player different abilities, so both people always have something important to do. One moment you're solving puzzles together, the next you're in a platforming section or a boss fight that feels completely different from what you just played. It Takes Two earns its spot because it's fun, creative, and surprisingly heartfelt. If you have someone to play with, this is one of those games that's not just good, it's genuinely memorable.
Dr. Hakim, they have to stay together. Gotta work overtime. You can't just give up. I wish you could be friends again. What?
Are you ready for the roller coaster ride of your life?
No.
The Witcher 3 is the kind of game that pulls you in and doesn't let go. It drops you into a massive fantasy world that feels alive, messy, and full of problems that don't have easy answers. You're following Geralt of Rivia on a personal journey, but along the way you get wrapped up in wars, monsters, and stories that feel way more human than you'd expect. Where the game really shines is in its quests. Side missions don't feel like filler. Many of them have better writing and tougher choices than main stories in other games. Decisions you make can come back hours later, sometimes in ways you don't expect, which makes the world feel reactive and real. The Witcher 3 earns its reputation because everything comes together so well. The world, the characters, and the freedom all work in sync. It's not just a long game, it's a memorable one, and that's why it absolutely belongs on any must-play list.
The fire burns! The fire cleanses!
Your life is yours exclusively. You choose who you are. And that's why I can't let this go.
My daughter Cirilla, she's in danger. You will find her and bring her to me.
Gotta save Ciri, whatever the cost.
The Wild Hunt tracked them down, found them there.
Elder blood flows in Ciri's veins, which is why the Wild Hunt wants to capture her.
This is the end, Geralt.
It's just the beginning.
Batman Arkham Knight feels like the perfect payoff for the Arkham series. It takes place on a massive, open version of Gotham City that's been completely evacuated, turning the whole place into Batman's playground. From the start, the game makes you feel like you're dealing with Batman's biggest threat yet, with the city under siege and enemies everywhere. Gameplay builds on what the series already did well and makes it smoother. Combat is fast, fluid, and all about timing, counters, and crowd control. You can jump between enemies, use gadgets on the fly, and clear out rooms in a way that really makes you feel like Batman. Stealth sections are just as important, especially when you're picking enemies off one by one. Batman Arkham Knight earns its place because it delivers a polished, complete experience. It looks great, and really makes you feel like Batman from start to finish.
The hero knows he cannot defeat danger, but for a moment, he can free others from fear. Let those left behind find hope in his sacrifice. Let those who knew him well speak of his fierce loyalty, unwavering convictions, and when the time came, his ultimate willingness to give all. Legends live on. Only man comes to an end.
Baldur's Gate 3 deserves the #1 spot with no question. This is the kind of game that shows how far RPGs can really go when developers fully commit. From the start, it drops you into a dangerous fantasy world and then completely steps back, letting you decide how everything plays out. What really puts Baldur's Gate 3 above everything else is how alive the world feels. Characters remember your choices, companions have real personalities, and even small decisions can snowball into huge consequences hours later. The gameplay gives you insane freedom. Combat is turn-based, but it's creative and never boring. You can fight straight up, talk your way out, set traps, use the environment, or do something the game clearly didn't expect but still allows. Almost every situation has multiple solutions, and the game actually reacts to what you do.
Weave the very fabric of the universe itself.
How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards?
Blackett blesses me this day. Together, we might survive.
I'll enjoy watching you try. In mere moments, all that you have dreaded.
Bow before me. Bow before the Absolute. Bow!